Destiny. It's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. So I was talking to a young lady last night, and she made me laugh so hard because she said that her friend is a new practitioner of Wicca. And Wicca is a spiritual system that some of you may be familiar with. And she said that she walked into her friend's house and her friend had a table set up in her room near the window, and it had all these items on it, like crystals and candles and statues, and it had like a cloth over it. And she was like, dog, what is she doing? She's like, I was so afraid to ask her. I didn't want to be offensive, but she was like, I know you probably know. She's like, what is that? And I said, well, that is what we call an altar, sometimes known as a shrine, depending upon who you ask. Every spiritual system uses altars. If you go to the Catholic Church, if you go to, I'm not going to say every, most of the ones I've been around use some form of an altar. So if you go to the Catholic Church, you'll see they have that big white altar, and they do all their rituals on it, the Eucharist and all that kind of stuff they do on their altar. If you go to other Christian type churches, they have an altar and usually do their communion, their Holy Communion, they usually do on their altar, and plus the other rituals. A lot of them have this altar. It's nothing more than a table. An altar is basically a table that you do rituals on. And depending upon what your spiritual system is, that's what kind of rituals you do on the altar. So if you go to a Roman Catholic church, you'll see the priest standing there. He'll have the bread in his hand and the wine. He'll break it over the thing. He'll pray. You know, he'll do his thing. He goes through the same ritual every time. If you go to a regular Christian church, they may have something similar to that. Maybe not exactly the same. Everybody has a little nuance to it. But with a Wiccan or a pagan or somebody like that, they would be doing whatever their pagan ritual is over the altar. And altars can be inside or outside. I've seen some really beautiful altars outside. Some of them are temporary altars where somebody just takes, like, for instance, a tree trunk, a tree that's been cut down and just the trunk is left there, and they may put a candle on it or whatever, and sit there and do their rituals at the altar. That's basically what an altar is. And different, like I said, different people use them, and some people have them in their house, and some people have several altars like I do because they have them for different things. Like my altar that's over here, this one is for prosperity and money and things like that. And most of us generally don't show our altars. They're very private to the person. Now, if somebody comes in your house, obviously they're going to see it. But typically, there's something that's very sacred in your home. And I have that one, and I have another one that's like a big one where I do all my main rituals on. And then I have a love altar in a corner where I do love work at. So altars, like I said before, a person can have more than one, or they can just have one in the house, outside the house. It's just where you do your spiritual work. So let's say, for example, I'm doing a candle for prosperity. I would put it on the prosperity altar. If I was doing a candle to draw love, I would put it on the love altar, you know? And some people have one where they do everything on it, you know? So it just depends on the person. But basically, it's just a space in your home where you do rituals. Some people pray at the altar. Some people will sit and meditate at their altar. When I'm enchanting jewelry or enchanting crystals or something like that, I do them and then place them on the altar and let them sit there. And, you know, it's like the most sacred part of your home. It's the place where your spirituality is kind of like centralized. You know, because you'll do spiritual things at different parts of your home. You may meditate on your balcony and things like that. But this is where you go, like I said, to pray, to put your candles down, to do whatever your ritual is that you're working on. So if you walk into somebody's house and you see a table with a cloth over it and like crystals on it and incense, because that's usually what's on it. Like, it's usually crystals, incense, maybe a statue representing themselves or representing the god or the goddess. They're all different because it doesn't really matter what you put on it. You just have to put things that are sacred on it. So like, for instance, with my prosperity altar, I have a cloth that has Lord Ganesha on it, because Ganesha is the one that helps you break through obstacles towards your prosperity. So Ganesha's cloth is over it. Then I have a bamboo plant. Bamboo is said to draw money into your home. Then I have all these crystals like green aventurine, citrine, you know, all crystals that are said to draw financial abundance towards you. So that's in the corner. And then I have some of my crowns on it, crowns representing abundance and prosperity. So, and I have like a tarot card. I have the Empress. Empress is all about prosperity and, you know, abundance. And I have like some other crystals on there, and I have let's see, yeah, some incense, some prosperity incense. So those are the kind of things you put on it, and they're all different, like I said, based on what you put on it and if it's inside or outside. Most of the time when somebody does an outside altar, it's a temporary altar. They just use it for that moment. So they'll bring the items, use the altar, and then take the items away. They don't usually just leave them there. They usually take them with them, whatever the items may be. So that's an altar, and that's what it does. So if you walk into somebody's home and you see something like that, it's not a strange thing. I even know Christians that have altars. They put like white candles or candles of Archangel Michael on them. They might have like an open Bible on the table. They usually have like Mary, Jesus, you know, 12 apostles. They have stuff like that on their altar. So like I said, any person can really have it. And then some people have what we call an ancestral altar. Sometimes the ancestral altar they even call a shrine. And the ancestral altar usually has all of your deceased ancestors on it. And it might just be their pictures. It might be their pictures and something that was sacred to them. We put flowers on altars. We put plants. I prefer plants to flowers because flowers will die. I like something that's alive and flourishing on mine. So I have plants on both of the altars, 2 of the altars. So that's the kind of thing that goes on it. Things that are sacred, things that are sacred to your spirituality. A person who is Muslim would probably have like the Quran and maybe a candle or something like that. It just depends on the spiritual system. And some are more intricate than others. Some are very simple with 1 or 2 items on them. Some, I've seen altars that were huge. This one woman in New Orleans, her altar went around the perimeter of the room, all the way around it, you know, and it was like really cool. And I was like, wow, I mean, it was huge. It went all the way around the perimeter of the room. And that's the biggest one I've ever seen. And that one had all kinds of stuff on it, all kinds of crystals and statues and representations of different saints, and all kinds of stuff was on it. So your altar can be as big or as small and as intricate or as simple as you want it to be. Okay, so the first thing I recommend to people is first you have to figure out what is the purpose of your altar. Like I said, the love altar is in the other room. The purpose of the love altar is to do love work. So drawing love work, love candles, that kind of thing. So the first thing I did was set it up for love. I put a love cloth over it, which usually I just get fabric. I go to the fabric store and get real fabric. So I got fabric with hearts all over it. And I put that on the altar, and then I put 2 statues on it of people together. It's like a statue of 2 women holding each other, and it's another statue of 2 images holding each other. You can't tell what they are, and they go into a heart shape. And then I put like all this other stuff. I put the another holy book on it from India, the Bhagavad Gita. I used that one. And there's all these just love things on it, little hearts I sprinkled on it, and all kinds of stuff. And when I want to, my honey jar too is there. A honey jar is a spell that you do to draw true love. So you every week you put a candle on top of it, or every day for some people you put a candle on top of it. So those are the things on it. And you just leave it and you use it. An altar isn't supposed to just be built like a decoration and never be used. You're supposed to actually use it frequently. You know, they say the more you use your altar, the more energy it gains, the more energy that comes to it. And what is drawn to your altar is what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to do prosperity, that's what you're drawing to your altar. And whatever spirits or entities or angels that you're working with along with that particular work that you're doing. Like in my case, Ganesha, or the angels, or whatever you're using. Mother Mary, for example. People do a lot of different things with them. It just depends on what your spiritual system is and what your beliefs are. So that's an altar. So your friend is not sacrificing people in her backyard or her bedroom. That's where she more than likely is praying and meditating. Okay, so that's an altar. I'm going to do another video one day where I break down exactly how to build one, because there is a little science to it on how to make it flow energetically. So I'll do that one next. Okay, thank you so much for your question. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to someone else who's wondering, what the heck is that table for? Thanks so much, guys. I'll put all my information underneath this video. And if you'd like to get a tarot or an oracle card reading, please feel free to email me. If you want to give me a love donation, please feel free to PayPal me. If you want to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, I'll drop those as well. And that's basically it. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.